My brother has been an ardent protector of his little sister for 16 years, and little did he know, I am actually the rightful heiress who was mistakenly swapped at birth. On the day when the young master from the capital's elite sought us out, my brother wept like a fool. Oh, the sky is falling. The sister I have proudly boasted about for 16 years is not my own. A sister, remember this. Even though I may be the false one, I am the only brother who loves you the most. The tales of the true and false heiresses have foretold that your so-called biological brother will undoubtedly favor the false heiress. He will exploit you mercilessly. Make sure you carry the true heiress strategy manual I wrote for you. If anyone dares to bully you, return to me. I have raised 16 head of cattle, 16 sheep, and 16 pigs for you. The young master from the capital had veins pulsating at his temples. I never said I wouldn't take you. My brother instantly fell silent. His spirits lifted as he took my arm. Hey, sister, let us prepare and venture into the city. I will help you infiltrate the aristocratic circle and vanquish the false heiress. I dared not voice my thoughts, for the false heiress he spoke of was actually his biological sister. 01. My brother and I have been inseparable since childhood. After our parents passed away, he single-handedly raised me, embodying the quintessential doting brother. Moreover, among his friends, he is the only one with a sister, making me his greatest source of pride. However, today, as his friends visited, he spoke not a word of me, and after they left, he even locked himself away in his room. The entire process was a facade of forced cheerfulness. I cautiously approached, and to my shock, I discerned faint sounds of sobbing from within. A wave of alarm surged through me. Something was utterly amiss. My brother is typically a jovial soul, always grinning in my presence. The last time he cried in such secrecy was when he accidentally let the birthday pig he gifted me perish. He wept inconsolably, clinging to both me and the pig as if his heart were being torn asunder. Please, sister, don't leave me. His sorrow stemmed from believing the demise of the one-year-old pig was an ill omen, especially since that pig was a gift from him to me. Yet the truth was that, as a child, he had longed for the village lady's piglet meat and incessantly clamored for its slaughter, leading her to deceive him. He wallowed in despair for 3 days and nights until I dragged him to the market to buy another. I hesitated at the door, but ultimately could not restrain myself from bursting in. There he was, squatting on the floor, clutching a photo of us together, tears streaming down his face, while he scribbled something. My heart raced in terror. Could it be a farewell note? Surely not. I was perfectly fine, while he was the one in distress. Brother, what is wrong? Are you unwell? Speak to me. No matter what, we shall find a remedy. I will always be by your side. Do not entertain thoughts of despair. I could not help but break into tears. He lifted his bloodshot eyes, clutching my hand as if it were a lifeline. Really? I nodded vigorously, but the next moment, his cries intensified. But I cannot prevent you from living a better life. Oh, the world is crumbling. The sister I have painstakingly raised for 16 years is someone else's. Sister, remember, though I may be the false one, I am the only brother who truly adores you. The stories of true and false heiresses warn that once you enter the aristocratic realm, it is a treacherous abyss. The false heiress will surely bully the true one to secure her position. Your so-called biological brother and aristocratic parents will undoubtedly favor that imposter. They will exploit you. Oh, my pitiful sister. You must carefully guard the true heiress strategy manual I have prepared for you. If you face any bullying, return to me. I have raised 16 head of cattle, 16 sheep, and 16 pigs for you. I was momentarily speechless, my mind racing in confusion. Suddenly, a voice filled with ire erupted from outside. I never said I wouldn't take you. 02. Both of us were momentarily taken aback, turning to face the newcomer, clad in an exquisitely tailored suit that radiated luxury. He seemed utterly out of place in our humble abode. I apologize for intruding. I knocked several times with no response, he stated, adjusting his collar and gazing deeply into my eyes. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Xin Yufeng, and I am your biological brother. As soon as the words left his lips, my brother tightened his grip on my hand, as though fearing my departure. He wiped his face and sprang to his feet, his anger palpable. Didn't we agree on a few days' time? How dare you, a wealthy individual, come here and attempt to take my sister away after I've nurtured her for 16 years. I have devotedly raised her with love and care, and now, in the blink of an eye, you wish to claim her for yourself. Where am I to seek justice for this loss? Surprisingly, my brother did seem formidable when roused. Yet, I quietly whispered in his ear, brother, he said he wants to take you with him. In an instant, my brother fell silent, scratching his head. Oh, is that so? Then, sister, let us gather our belongings and head into the city. I shall escort you into high society. It was my first genuine experience as a debutante, and to say I was nervous would be an understatement. However, it appeared my brother was even more anxious. In the car, he fiddled with his fingers and leaned closer to whisper, "Sis, why do you think he wants me along?" After a moment of confusion, he blushed and crossed his arms. Could it be that he has taken a liking to me? Although I am indeed dashing and possess a knack for raising fine livestock, I assure you, I am straight. Shen Yufeng felt a headache coming on. Speak one more word, and I shall toss you out. My brother fell silent, but after a while, couldn't he resist speaking again? So, big brother, do we not have a fake sister as well? I can tell without guessing that she must look pitifully charming and excels at being a green tea princess. He leaned closer to me. Don't worry, sis. I'll help you navigate this. We shall defeat this pretender. I poked him again. Brother, that fake sister is apparently your biological sister. My brother was momentarily stunned, rendered speechless. After 2 hours of driving, I awoke from a nap to find him still wearing a serious expression, his brow furrowed. Upon disembarking, he seized Shen Yufeng by the shoulder. Big brother, if those two happen to argue, which side will you take? We had an agreement to support one another. One is biological, while the other I have raised. We cannot show favoritism. A vein throbbed at Shen Yufeng's temple. Rest assured, they will not argue. He refrained from mentioning that it might be he and his biological sister who would clash, considering she had long desired a sister. My brother was skeptical. Look at you. And you haven't even met her yet, and already your heart is swayed. He was determined to see what this green tea princess was truly like. Curious as to what could possibly captivate his big brother so deeply. 03. The so-called fake sister, who happened to be my brother's biological sister, Shen Yushu, towered over me by an entire head, embodying a strikingly cool demeanor. Standing beside my brother, they appeared nothing like siblings, one exuding wisdom while the other seemed rather simple-minded. My brother, who had just been fiercely protective, now approached her with an outstretched hand. Hello, dear sister. I am your brother. Having always been shy, I stood quietly behind my brother, at a loss for words. To my surprise, Shan Yushu merely glanced at my brother before sidestepping him to stand directly in front of me, fixing her gaze upon me and forcing a smile.
Sui.
I am your elder sister. My brother instinctively shielded me. What are you planning?
Don't even think about it.
Shen Yushu flashed a smile that could be described as deadly, causing my brother to mutter nervously. That's quite an intimidating presence. Is this her way of asserting dominance? I sighed. Ever since our parents passed away, my brother had dropped out of school in his second year of high school to focus solely on writing novels and raising livestock to support my education. Though his academic achievements were modest, his knowledge was not. He was indeed well-read. The village matron often remarked that my brother's demeanor reflected a wisdom that belied his simplicity. I suspected that the plethora of novels he consumed, many of which were rather trivial, contributed to his apparent naivety.
Now,
he was undoubtedly concocting a narrative about the rivalry between genuine and fake sisters in his mind. How could I convince him that reality was not as melodramatic? Despite the passage of time until dinner, I failed to utter a word to Shen Yushu. At the dining table, my bowl was piled high with food. The three of them seemed to compete, fervently piling more onto my plate. Only after Shen Yufeng's dish was successfully pushed aside by Shen Yushu did he clear his throat. Sui, you're in the second year of high school, correct? I will arrange for the housekeeper to transfer your and He Nian's academic records. My brother scoffed, ready to refuse, but I discreetly kicked him under the table. Brother, I'm afraid to go alone. Please accompany me. My brother, who is academically gifted, had sacrificed his education for my sake, which weighed heavily on my heart. Shen Yushu spoke in a detached manner. Oh dear, with only a junior high school education. I would be embarrassed to admit it. Her tone was so flat that my brother almost laughed in disbelief. Very well. I must keep an eye on my sister to ensure that some individuals do not take advantage of her, employing the tactics of schoolyard bullies. The atmosphere ignited with tension. I cautiously pushed around the rice in my bowl, too timid to speak. Shen Yufeng, concerned that I was uncomfortable, attempted to divert my attention.
Sui.
As you've just transferred, you might struggle with the studies, but feel free to come to me if you need help. Before he could finish, a piercing glare shot towards him. Shen Yufeng quickly changed his words. Ask Yushu for help. She is the top of her class. My brother retorted.
What is so impressive about that?
I was also first in my class. Shen Yushu responded with sarcasm. Oh, how remarkable. Shen Yufeng graduated from Tsinghua University at 19 and entered the workforce, while you at 19 are still tending to cattle. My brother chose to remain silent, focusing on his food, unwilling to engage in the conflict. However, I sensed trouble brewing. If this continued, they might end up at odds. I desired to befriend Shin Yushu, as she seemed genuinely kind. I needed to devise a plan to foster harmony between these two. 04. Before I could contemplate strategies for familial harmony, my biological parents decided to return home to host a reunion banquet. Shin Yushu knocked on my door, dragging a large rack of clothing behind her. Which of these dresses do you like? My brother's voice immediately piped up from outside. Here it comes, the conspiracy. Those dresses will surely fall apart once worn. Don't think I'm unaware of your intentions to embarrass my sister publicly. Besides, why should my sister wear your old clothes? Who are you trying to humiliate? With fervor, my brother yanked a dress towards him, examining it closely. After a moment of contemplation, he remarked, "It looks almost new. It seems quite sturdy and fits well." As he spoke, however, his own loungewear suddenly tore with a loud rip, exposing his chest. "Oh no!" he exclaimed in panic, hastily covering himself. Shin Yushu, however, let out a gentle laugh, a smile playing on her lips. "Well, it seems quite fitting. Your figure is passable." She lightly withdrew the dress she had handed to me, her voice tinged with a hint of grievance. "Would you like to try it on? If it doesn't suit you, we can have the designer come over to redo it tomorrow." I nodded, somewhat dazed, and her eyes instantly sparkled with an astonishing brightness, as if she were a tad excited, rubbing her small hands together. In the next moment, my brother was kicked aside, and Shin Yushu slammed the door shut with a resounding thud. He Nian was nearly choking with rage, his face flushed crimson. "Damn it, Shin Yushu, what's with your attitude? Open the door. Let my sister out." Meanwhile, Shin Yufeng, who was enjoying the spectacle, waved a hand dismissively. "Yushu has loved designing clothes since childhood. It's rare for her Barbie dress-up game to manifest in reality. Be careful, she might just come out to slap you." Shin Yufeng strolled by, casually yanking off my brother's half-heartedly discarded shirt, cheerfully exclaiming, "Yushu truly has a knack for this. Finally, I am no longer alone." Meanwhile, the foolish He Nian continued to rage. "What the hell is this shabby dress? The quality is atrocious." Soon, the day of the grand family banquet arrived. My brother and I felt like two unsophisticated bumpkins, watching a parade of tailored suits and elegant gowns flow in and out. I wore the exquisite little dress that Shin Yushu had chosen for me, and I adored it, secretly reveling in my delight for quite some time. To be honest, I had initially felt a bit intimidated by Shin Yushu. Even if one hasn't raised pigs, one has seen them run. The genuine heiresses in these stories often do not have favorable outcomes. Yet, since that day, an inexplicable closeness had developed between us, leading me to reproach my brother. "You've misunderstood her. You both should get along well from now on. She is your biological sister." However, my brother scoffed at this notion. "Just because two girls tried on clothes together doesn't mean they're best friends. Sister, you are far too naive. I can tell she is not to be trifled with. Do you believe that at this recognition banquet, she won't try to trip you up?" He Nian felt aggrieved. Having returned home for so many days, his sister had yet to show him a kind face. Is she really my flesh and blood? Even Shin Yufeng treated him with warmth and courtesy. As he simmered with anger, he suddenly spotted a family chatting amicably with Shen's parents, their demeanor intimate. Alarm bells rang in his head. "I heard that the Shin family has a marriage proposal with the surname Su. It couldn't he possibly be that white chicken in the middle, could it? Let us go take a look." My brother tugged me along stealthily. Madame Su held Shin Yushu's hand with a sigh. "Initially, our two families were betrothed by fate. Who would have imagined that such things would occur now?" My biological parents hesitated. "Although Achi and Yushu have known each other since childhood and their relationship is quite good, we cannot show favoritism, especially since we already owe Sui Sui so much." Mr. Su and his wife nodded in agreement. "We share the same sentiment. Perhaps we should consider changing the marriage prospect." My brother's face contorted with rage. What nonsense is this about my sister's future husband? And they dare to make it a choice? I swear I will crush him. He nearly charged out. Yet, Shin Yushu was the first to speak, her tone ice cold. "I disagree." My heart dropped, and I felt as if it had lodged in my throat. My brother fell silent. "I've spent 16 years with Su Qi, and we have grown accustomed to one another as future partners. Why should things change just because He Sui has returned?" The atmosphere suddenly stiffened. My brother glanced cautiously at my expression, pulling me away. "Sister, are you angry?" Don't be upset. He is just one man, and I see his face. He is not worthy of you, nor of Shinyushu. His voice grew quieter, and in a fit of frustration, he kicked the grand hall's pillar. I knew this would lead to a fiancé subplot. Damn it, who the hell is writing this story? Next? Will it be two sisters turning against each other over that weakling? I was indeed feeling a bit down, but not because of that man named Su-chi. All along, my timidity had prevented me from making any close friends. I sighed in disappointment, suddenly finding Su-chi's face utterly distasteful. Just as I was about to bond with my sister, a man appeared out of the blue, and my brother would surely start his conspiracy theories again. The recognition banquet concluded grandly under the introductions of our parents and my brother, yet I avoided Shinyushu until the start of school, fearful that she might recall that I was the legitimate fiancé of that man, thereby exacerbating our already strained relationship. My brother, however, was embroiled in endless disputes with her, causing chaos. He frequently came to me, lamenting that his sister held no regard for him. She even said it's all my fault for ruining her reputation. The way she looks at me is as if she would devour me whole.
Tise.
Does she not realize that I don't need to ruin anything? Isn't she fierce enough on her own? When we parted at the school gate, my brother reiterated his warnings. If anyone bullies you, be sure to find me in class 3, year 2. Especially if that guy dares to give you a hard time, just wait until I take care of Shin Yufeng. I shook my head. My entrance exam results were not particularly stellar. My high school life would likely not intersect with Shin Yushu's. While relieved, I felt a pang of melancholy, thinking that our relationship might never be mended. Little did I expect that I would be placed in the same class as her. The every move of affluent families is always scrutinized, especially a scandal as dramatic as a switch child. Throughout the entire class, I felt as though I were sitting on pins and needles. There were always furtive glances directed at me, and groups of students whispered together. Whenever I turned around, they dispersed quickly. As I emerged from the restroom, I was intercepted by that insufferable Su-chi. I pursed my lips, intent on distancing myself from him to avoid misunderstandings with Shin Yushu. Is there something you need? He scanned me from head to toe. Yushu excels at both the violin and design. She won national awards for her designs at the age of 14. What talents do you possess? I shook my head honestly.
Su-chi's my.
While I admire Yushu as cold and captivating beauty, she can be a bit too rigid at times. In comparison, I prefer your sweet and charming demeanor. Moreover, you are the true heiress of the Shin family, while I am merely the nominal fiancé. I stared at my toes, feeling a bit irritated, wishing I could slap him for his audacity to judge girls. Yet in Su-chi's eyes, this was merely me being shy. Not only him, but even the furious Shin Yushu, who rushed over, misunderstood the scene. Her eyes widened, and without a word, she stormed over and slapped Su-chi hard. Her usual composure replaced with anger. Didn't I tell you to stay away from her? The sharp crack of the slap seemed to leave him momentarily stunned. Su-chi shrank back, his neck retreating, his face flushed with embarrassment, appearing somehow diminished. Shin Yushu, clearly distraught, turned to me, her voice trembling. Do you truly like him? I was taken aback by her reaction, hastily shaking my head. I didn't. Su-chi, regaining his composure, reddened and shouted. What if she does like me? You think everyone is like you? From today on, I'll start pursuing her. Shin Yushu's fists clenched, but given my presence, she could only swallow her curse. However, I could not hold back, raising my hand to deliver a matching slap, swiftly distancing myself. Don't touch me. You are her fiancé. I was utterly exasperated with him. Didn't he see the way Shin Yushu's eyes were practically devouring me? She must already despise me. The argument was abruptly interrupted by the school bell. Nevertheless, my resolve to distance myself from Su-chi and Shin Yushu only grew stronger. My brother was right. Men are indeed the greatest downfall of sisterly bonds. It seemed our relationship would inevitably deteriorate. Just when I thought matters had concluded, fate had other plans. A mere detour after school led me to stumble upon a gathering of the school's ruffian girls, huddled together in a narrow alley. Several girls were whispering conspiratorially, and to my astonishment, Shin Yushu was at the helm. One girl, having received something from Shin Yushu, patted her chest confidently. Fear not. We shall eliminate him without a trace. I gasped in shock, inadvertently knocking something over. The atmosphere turned palpably awkward. The moment I locked eyes with Shin Yushu, 100 thoughts raced through my mind, yet I stood frozen, too afraid to speak, terrified that I might be the target of their plot. However, it was Shin Yushu who appeared more flustered. Her body stiffened as she discreetly wiped away the rebellious smirk from her lips. Then, she hastily stood up, nervously rubbing her hands, and stammered, "We're just discussing some problems. Would you like to join us?" The other girls exchanged glances, quickly shoving their belongings into their bags and nodding like chicks pecking at grain. "Ah, yes, yes. Sister Shu is explaining the problems to us." I managed to force a smile. What kind-hearted person squats on the ground discussing problems? How is this any different from burying one's head in the sand? As the girls fled, I was left alone with Shinyushu. Seemingly unable to withstand the embarrassment of being exposed, she shot me a fierce glare and declared, "You should give up. I will never agree to your relationship." I had a myriad of reasons to suspect I was the target of their machinations. I felt utterly wronged. If I couldn't even maintain a sisterly bond or a friendship, would we truly become enemies like in those tales of false heirs? Since childhood, I have always been timid, and in recent days, I found myself clinging to my brother more than ever. My cowardice largely stemmed from him. Our home was filled with many ghost storybooks, and he would read them to me at night, becoming so engrossed that he paid no heed to my fears. All I could do was stare wide-eyed at him, terrified, while he assumed I enjoyed it, becoming more animated with each tale he recounted. This grievance I could only swallow in silence. After 3 consecutive days of following him to the restroom, he finally shifted from his self-satisfaction to suspicion. "Sister, tell me honestly, has someone been bullying you?" I fidgeted with my clothes. "No, I'm just not quite accustomed to this environment. I thought of coming to you since you're the person I know best." I feigned a tone of distress. "Do you dislike me, brother?" I nervously tugged at my clothes, fearing that further questioning would worsen his relationship with Shinyushu. I couldn't let him be dragged into this mess. While a sister's affection is indeed rare, my brother He-Nyen was someone special. After our parents passed away when he was 7, he single-handedly raised his 3-year-old sister, providing for me in every way. Every night, he would gently coax me to sleep, and during the day, he meticulously styled my hair into braids. It could be said that he is the person who knows me best in the entire world. He immediately took my hand, determined to confront Shinyushu. I desperately tried to halt him, explaining as we walked, but after traversing most of the school, we found no trace of her. Just as I sighed in relief, we stumbled upon a glaring scene of bullying. A group of girls was mercilessly beating a boy. I immediately grabbed my brother. He squinted. "That rascal looks like Su-Chi upon closer inspection." I realized that the assailants were the very girls who had been beside Shinyushu just days prior. Why were they here, confronting Shinyushu's fiancé? Logically, Shinyushu should have been their employer, not the target of their wrath. Just as I considered sneaking closer to eavesdrop, my brother, fearing I might be led astray, covered my eyes and pulled me away. Burdened with confusion, I returned home. At the dinner table, I hesitated to speak, but an unexpected guest arrived. Su-Chi stormed in, his face resembling that of a pig, seething with anger as he pointed at me. Gritting his teeth, "I've come to propose to you tonight." With a resounding crash, Shinyushu slammed her bowl onto the table. "Damn it, you've clearly been spared too much. You wretched hag. Keep your nose out of my business." Shinyushu scoffed, rolling up her sleeves and charging out. "You look like a donkey. Have you even looked in the mirror? Just this face alone would make anyone sick. Every day, you prance around like a headless chicken, too afraid to catch even a bug. You, who comes here to woo my sister, do you think you're worthy of proposing? Want me to strip you down to your underwear and hang you from a tree in the neighborhood?" Watching Shinyushu grab Su-Chi by the collar and unleash a flurry of punches while my brother cheered her on with his bowl in hand left me bewildered. I couldn't help but tug at my brother, who was leisurely eating. "Brother, is this really okay?" They were likely just having a spat. What if she blamed me for this? However, my brother dismissed my concerns with a wave of his hand, as if he were accustomed to such scenes. "Don't worry. They've always been like this. Su-Chi has always been a troublemaker, and only Shinyushu can keep him in line. Although they are betrothed, it's more like a childhood contract bestowed upon Shinyushu by Su's parents. She doesn't fancy Su-Chi and naturally believes he is unworthy of you, fearing you might fall for him because of his looks." I was taken aback. "Wait, she doesn't like Su-Chi?" My brother ruffled my hair with a resigned smile. "Su's parents said it doesn't matter whether Su-Chi likes her or not. What's important is that one of them must like the other for him to become a son-in-law. Hence, Shinyushu is always wary of him, afraid he might charm you." Thankfully, Su-Chi was around. Otherwise, Shinyushu would have been overwhelmed by his relentless antics over the years. Shinyushu's energy was indeed boundless, always either dressing him in skirts or making him climb trees. Thank goodness for Su Chi. I gazed at Shin Yushu with starry eyes, elated to discover that she didn't actually despise me. How wonderful! There was hope for my harmonious family plan. Not far away, Su Chi finally burst into tears. Boo, Sister Shu, please stop hitting me. I was wrong, I won't act like a fool anymore. My brother cheered. Well done. Excellent. Su Chi, you deserve this. My brother's lips twitched. Has he always been this childish? I nodded earnestly. Once the misunderstandings were cleared, I suggested that the three of us walk to school together. However, my brother and Shin Yushu exchanged not a single glance, as if an invisible barrier separated them. I immediately took his hand and placed it beside Shin Yushu's, admiring the sight of them standing hand in hand, and nodded approvingly. Good siblings. Together we shall walk. No more barriers. He Nyan huffed in annoyance. If it weren't for my sister, I wouldn't be walking to school with you. Shin Yushu flashed a sardonic smile, taking a deep breath. Finally, you've done something worthwhile. Don't push me to the edge. He Nyan nearly choked with frustration, pretending. He knew all too well that he was secretly opposing her while putting on a facade of being a caring older sister in front of me. Yet, he didn't dare speak up. Recently, he had been facing a series of unfortunate events. With his remarkable skills and achievements, He Nyan was bound to dominate the school as soon as he arrived, attracting a throng of followers. Yet this school proved to be quite the enigma. The position of the school bully was evidently held by another, and to make matters worse, he couldn't even locate him. Most importantly, no one was willing to divulge the identity of this individual, leaving him with no avenue for confrontation. It seemed that this former school bully was not to be trifled with. But so what? The past was behind him. He was determined to claim the title of school bully for himself. With two younger sisters to protect, he felt the weight of responsibility. He clenched his fists and silently vowed, if I ever discover who this person is, I shall surely bring him to his knees, begging for mercy. Soon enough, the time for the first monthly examination at the new school arrived, and my brother dragged me and Shin Yushu to the bulletin board to see the results. To my astonishment, the name at the top read He Nyan, standing out boldly. Who is this person? He scored a full 15 points higher than the second place. Chen Yuan. Previously, he was a fixture at the top. They say he's a new transfer student, tall and handsome with a pleasant demeanor. And now it seems his academic prowess is equally impressive. Oh dear, I'm utterly captivated. Who knows, our school might even produce a provincial champion this year. The authorities might end up grinning from ear to ear. Listening to the astonished voices of my classmates, my brother puffed up with pride. What do you think? Am I impressive or what? Shin Yushu rolled her eyes, ready to deliver a sarcastic remark. He Nyan stroked his chin thoughtfully. I heard the school bully is also top of the grade. Just which grade is he in? I will catch him sooner or later. He raised an eyebrow at Shin Yushu. Sister, do you know? Shin Yufeng mentioned you had once ranked first in the grade. Shin Yushu's lips stiffened, and she awkwardly retorted. Why do you care so much about others? You're so nosy. Without further ado, she pulled me away. After that day, Shin Yushu began to exhibit odd behavior. Previously, she would eagerly explain any difficult problems to me, but now she had enlisted the help of the study committee member. My grades have been slipping lately. I might not be able to explain adequately. Moreover, after discreetly monitoring her whereabouts, I noticed she would inexplicably vanish for extended periods after school. One day, I intentionally held her back. Sister, let's go home together. Shin Yushu froze, her hand still gripping her backpack as she turned around, staring at me in surprise and nodding. My brother had warned me that the campus could be rife with troublemakers in the evening, so lingering was not an option.
Satisfied.
I led her out of the teaching building, only to encounter a group of familiar female classmates approaching us with puzzled expressions. Sister Shu, aren't we supposed to? Lost in the warmth of my sister's company, Shin Yushu quickly cleared her throat. It's after school. Why aren't you heading home? Just as they were about to speak again, a sudden realization struck me. These were the same girls who had previously been little delinquents. I hurriedly pulled Shin Yushu away, anxious to escape before they caught up with us. Why did that group greet Shin Yushu? Their familiarity suggested that this was not their first transaction. Once we were far enough away, I couldn't help but express my concerns. Brother said violence won't solve problems, so can we avoid seeking them out next time? The world outside is dangerous. Girls must learn to protect themselves. What if they seek revenge? Shin Yushu was taken aback, her mind momentarily blank, struggling to formulate a response. It's not as you think. I gritted my teeth. If you keep this up, I'll tell brother. Shin Yushu was distressed, unable to articulate her predicament. Her brother was of no use. He couldn't even stand up to her. If Shin Yufeng discovered she was the school bully, she would have a mountain of explanations to offer to their parents. Little did she expect to be exposed in such an awkward situation. I initially thought Shin Yushu's silence meant she agreed to stop associating with those delinquents. However, after she once again disappeared post-school, I grew increasingly anxious. A strong urge compelled me to seek her out, but unexpectedly, I bumped into my brother. Brother, what are you doing here? Sis, what are you doing here? I'm looking for sister. I'm looking for the school bully. We exchanged bewildered glances. Just as we were about to leave together, faint sounds of a class being conducted drifted from the far corner classroom. My heart raced. School was out. Why was there still a lesson taking place? Moreover, that was an abandoned classroom, devoid of any class. My mind spiraled with supernatural thoughts, while my brother, brimming with excitement, urged me to crouch by the window and peek inside. In the center of the classroom sat those familiar little delinquents, and at the front was Shun Yushu. Several classmates from her class, including the study committee member, were also present. Listen up, everyone. Focus. We must strive to achieve excellent results in next week's monthly exam. Especially you, Chen Meng. You are to help my sister study if she comes in first place. Shun Yushu stated earnestly. What sacrifices she must have made to prevent He Nian from becoming suspicious. That scoundrel He Nian, just wait until she had her fun with him. Chen Meng immediately raised her hand. Boss, our little sister is both obedient and adorable. I will not fail in my mission. Shin Yushu clicked her tongue in annoyance. What do you mean our little sister? She is my sister. Then she flashed a smile. Of course, my sister is the cutest in the world. She still calls me sister. It's simply delightful. My ears flushed with warmth. It turned out my sister cherished me so much. Furthermore, she wasn't involved in anything dangerous. She was merely tutoring her classmates. What a wonderful sister she was. As I listened to her increasingly extravagant praises, I felt as if I were floating. Although her compliments echoed familiar sentiments I had heard from my brother before, I didn't mind. I smiled giddily. However, my brother was utterly dumbfounded. He erupted in fury, leaping to his feet and pointing at Shin Yushu. You, Shin Yushu. How dare you be the school bully behind my back? Seeing my brother on the verge of a meltdown, I quickly restrained him. Brother, how can this be considered bullying? She's clearly a top student. As I observed the fire raging in his eyes, my voice dwindled to a whisper. Our gazes locked, and tension crackled in the air. Shin Yushu's head buzzed before she dropped the act. It's none of your business, you useless fool. He Nian erupted in laughter. All right, if it's not my concern. Then I have two conditions. First, relinquish the title of school bully. Girls shouldn't play that role. Second. His lips curled into a wicked grin. Call me daddy. Shin Yushu fought to suppress her rising fury, waving her hand at the classroom. Disperse. Hurry and disperse. Once the classroom emptied, only the three of us remained. He Nian then unleashed a torrent of grievances he had been harboring. So that's why you always target me. You want to monopolize my sister. How naive do you think I am? I'm about to expose your true nature to her. And as for Shen Yufeng, don't think I'm oblivious to his little schemes. You both are truly shameless. My sister still favors me the most. I cleared my throat softly, interrupting my brother's boastful chatter, and swiftly approached Shin Yushu's side. Brother, how can you bully your sister? If you continue this way, I shall reveal all your embarrassing moments from childhood. The smile on He Nian's face froze. Shin Yushu's grin was nearly splitting her face. She linked her arm with mine, her eyes sparkling like stars as she looked at me. Sister, we are the best duo in the world, aren't we? I nodded eagerly, like a chick pecking at grain. Even better than Shin Yufeng? I continued pecking. What about He Nian? I pecked again. Shin Yushu was satisfied, her smile almost bursting. He Nian was ready to retaliate,
to protest.
Yet before he could utter a word, Shin Yushu smiled and said, the atmosphere is just perfect right now. One more word, and I won't hesitate to slap you. He Nian retorted, you think you're so superior, don't you? The outcome of laying everything bare was that wherever those two were present, the bickering would be relentless. I sighed, resigned to my fate. After all, striking is affection, and scolding is love. How could this not be seen as familial affection? My brother completed his college entrance examination and emerged as the top student in the province. I turned to my siblings and said, let's return home to share the good news with Mom and Dad. However, Shin Yushu lowered her gaze, unusually silent. The four of us made our way back to our hometown. As we ascended the mountain, Shin Yushu was particularly quiet. It wasn't until we laid flowers at our parents' graves that she grasped my hand and said, Can you show me around? I want to see where you grew up. Just as I was about to respond, my brother grabbed Shen Yufeng and walked away. I caught the worried look in his eyes before they vanished from sight. Shen Yushu and I walked along the mountain path until we could no longer see our parents' graves. I guided her through the fields our parents had cultivated, took her to the secret hideout my brother and I frequented as children, and introduced her to the pigs, cows, and sheep my brother had raised over the years. They all had their names. At a small shop, I purchased the strawberry-flavored gummies my brother used to cheer me up when I was upset as a child. I opened the package and handed it to her, saying, "Here, enjoy." Shen Yushu hesitated for a long moment before revealing a long-buried sentiment. "Don't you resent me? I have lived in the Shun household in your stead for 16 years, robbing you of the happiness that should have been yours." I pondered for a moment before responding earnestly, "Not at all, because I have also claimed your brother for myself. He is a wonderful brother who has showered me with love." I began counting on my fingers. Our parents passed away when I was very young, and my brother raised me alone. He played with me, helping me build little homes for snails and swings for rabbits. Even when he fell into a muddy pit and hurt himself, he endured the pain just to make me laugh by smearing mud on his face. He is truly the best brother in the world, surpassing even the eldest. Shen Yushu laughed genuinely. It seems he has some merit after all. The strawberry gummies melted in my mouth, a taste from the past. She still apologized. I took her hand and said, "It's time to go home." As the sun set, 2 long shadows trailed behind 2 sneaky figures. He Nian sniffled, crying uncontrollably, his tears and snot staining the clothes of the person beside him. "Wah! Did you hear that?" My sister said, "I am the best brother in the world." Wah! My eyes are watering. Shen Yufeng felt a pang in his heart and sighed. "Yeah, I heard it. How annoying." Time passed swiftly. The life of a senior in high school was arduous yet enjoyable. Under the guidance of my brother and sister, my grades improved significantly, consistently placing me in the top 5 of my class. On the day we filled out college applications, a new round of bickering erupted between my sister and me. "I told you to apply to Tsinghua University. Is it so embarrassing to attend the same school as me? I want to go there. What's it to you? I want to attend Peking University. Just to infuriate you. Not only will I go to Peking University, but I'll also take my sister with me. So, what are you going to do about it?" They began to fight once more. Our parents watched, amused by the spectacle. My brother pressed his fingers to his temples. "Is this really a good idea?" I smiled and replied, "This is perfect. I have a happy family, and everyone in our household loves me. He Sui is the happiest little girl in the world." Prologue: Shen Yushu's quest for a sister. At the age of 4, Shen Yushu firmly believed that her brother was a girl. It wasn't until they visited Disneyland together that he refused to accompany her to the restroom. That day, her world collapsed. To appease her, their parents told her that her brother was a superhero who could transform into a girl at will. However, once he entered 1st grade, he began to skip grades and no longer wished to wear the cute little dresses she had chosen for him, opting instead for drab, unappealing clothing. She felt he was no longer fit to be a girl. Thus, on her 5th birthday, she made a sincere wish, shouting at the top of her lungs for fear he might not hear her. "I hope Super Brother will give me a sister." One of her good friends in kindergarten had a twin sister. They always wore matching adorable outfits and played games like Guess Who I Am. If only she could have a sister, she could dress her in countless beautiful clothes and hold her hand to the restroom. But her brother couldn't produce one, and she cried for an entire day and night without success. From that day on, her brother became the 2nd most useless thing in her life. And who is the most useless? Su Chi Epilogue: Shen Yufeng's battle for family position. Shen Yufeng realized that his standing in the family was diminishing day by day. First, his sister's beloved brother was He Nian. Then, his sister's closest companion was Shen Yushu. He had become transparent in this family. He began to shower his sister with gifts, such as beautiful jewelry and lovely dresses, which she had promised to wear. Yet the next day, she would look at him apologetically. "I'm sorry, big brother. Sister made me another little dress, and if I don't wear it, she will be sad." "What about the jewelry?" he inquired. His sister touched her neck fondly. "Sister made me a pearl necklace. It's so beautiful." Shen Yufeng smiled, determined to try again. He thought, if I can't compete with He Nian, how could I possibly lose to him? He started intercepting them when they were about to head out. His sister hesitated. "But my brother and I are going to the orphanage to play games with the children." "Can you do that, big brother? Like hopscotch, carrot squat, and red light, green light?" Shen Yufeng was at a loss. Later, when his siblings planned a trip, he secretly vowed to join them. His father announced, Yufeng, your mother and I had decided to embark on a round-the-world trip for our 30th anniversary. The company will be entrusted to you. Shen Yufeng thought, how infuriating. Everyone is preventing him from becoming the most esteemed man in the family.
The end.
Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next story.